So we built everything up until this point off of debt and cash flow. And then recognizing kind of where the economy was going, knew a couple things. One, we needed to front load a bunch of hires, whereas historically we let people follow revenue. To kind of go to the next level, we needed to make some investments in a variety of things. And that was just needed us to raise capital into the operating company. And then obviously to go buy more homes, it's a capital intensive deal. So the goal would be typically about 65% leverage. So if we have $50 million in equity to buy homes, try to go get $100 million worth of debt to buy $150 million worth of homes. So that's kind of the way we think about it. Interest rates definitely are impacting us. I mean, I would frankly, if you had a high interest rates and the home prices came down, that's ideal, right? Because I'd rather buy in a high interest rate environment, have a low cost basis, and then in 24, 36 months, if rates drop, you refi out, you get a lower rate, you get the equity value from the appreciated value of the home as a result of the home prices going up in a lower rate environment. But the challenge we're facing right now is that the home prices haven't come down commensurate with the increase in interest rates. So this is a challenge. We still target a 10% cap rate in terms of what we're buying single family homes for, which is way better than what the industry was. So cap rate would be basically saying what's your run rate profit, assuming no debt and pre-debt, pre-interest, pre-taxes, pre-depreciation and non-cash expenses. So what's just kind of, if you had no debt on it, what would be your run rate operating income? And then you divide that by the value of the asset. So if you had $10,000 in profit on a $100,000 house, you'd have a 10% cap rate.
Yep. Okay.
And so that's a way to evaluate the productivity of different, types of real estate, right? Because I may be willing to put 85% leverage and you may only put 50% leverage, and I may have a 3% interest rate and you may have a 7 or 8% interest rate. So if you look at the ultimate IRR or the net income, that's not necessarily a neutral or kind of fair comparison of one asset to another. But the better way to look at it is if you had no debt, what would be the performance of that asset, and then compare the two. And we could not do it without the whole team all the way up and down the kind of chain of command. If you look at the senior leadership, so we'll call it the big four in the company right now. So the lady who I mentioned, who kind of took things over while I went to Ukraine, she stayed with us all along, and she's done every job from cleaning houses, renovating houses, talking with guests on the phone. She's kind of done it all. And, she's still married to her husband. They live at West Point, New York, where he's a professor. She serves as our kind of chief growth officer. And so she manages the pipeline as new properties are coming in. She's the kind of, typical, former military officer, very execution oriented, and keeps people on track. Our chief strategy officer is Luke Brennan. He was my, kind of best friend in college and fraternity brother, went to BCG, worked in hospitality and real estate there. And he really is what you think of as kind of the strategy. He takes a problem and runs all the way down to the kind of root of it, and has a photographic memory, knows everything that's going on in the financials. And, so he is the kind of knowing where all of the detail lives and thinking through, we're going to look at this business model or that business model. So I have 100 ideas a day. He tries to sift through them. I actually caution a lot of guys and gals getting out of the military who want to go be entrepreneurs, because the military is the biggest bureaucracy that there is, right? And one thing that I have to deliver some tough love to folks in the military is they come out and they're like, oh, I built this system and I built this system and I did that. And I'm like, you didn't build any systems in the military. Literally, this is the most bureaucratized organization. 200 plus years of people building you systems, and everybody who showed up to work for you had gone through a common curriculum and a common training program, spoke a common language, had great benefits, had, you learned a lot about leadership and how to motivate and lead people. So lean in on that, but you did not build systems. You refined systems within an existing operating structure. And so like, you got to be honest with yourself about that. And then the second reason, and this is why I often like hiring the military spouses more than the veterans, candidly, is that it's because how do you win wars? You throw more people at the so like, and if you've been in the military, you've never had to internalize labor costs. So in military guys, particularly long-term career military guys, when they see a problem, they're like, I need a person for this and a person for that and a person for this and a person for that. And I'm like, whoa, you need a better process.
Yeah.
Let's think about process before we think about people.
I love being a visionary, but if it was just me and my vision, we'd be out of business.
You'd have 64 businesses.
I'd have 64 attempted businesses probably.
Yeah, that's right.
And not enough successful ones to be above water. But
right.
I learned, it took me a while to learn that, right? That I needed people that were operationally minded, stronger than I was, to execution minded, to kind of pull me back on my vision. Because, vision's great, but if you don't have a plan and you don't have a team to execute on the plan that believes in the plan as much as you do, right? It's not happening. And so there's a thing called, you ever read the book Traction, EOS process? We use that. We've been using that for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. Entrepreneurial operating system, and basically tells you that, right? And you have your quarterly meetings, annual meeting, and all that, and you basically make sure that visionary doesn't go crazy and astray by having the operations team and the execution team that's there to help buy into the vision, help build the vision, buy into the vision, pull back on a crazy visionary like myself who thinks we can do way more than we can. And it works pretty well, because we can have all the vision in the world, but if everybody around us doesn't share that vision, it's not working out too well, right?